So I don't find her to be a liar. Time is a test in this because there's so much of it that you start spinning your wheels and rethinking yourself and questioning yourself, and people question you, and then time is not your friend in a case like this
Yeah.
because you do forget and think, and then you listen to other people. So I don't know if she believes God or not. I think I've heard her say she doesn't, but she may have information I don't have. As far as Dave goes, I believe Dave, and his whole that day, his Snapchats are gone, but everything else is still there. But he's been scrubbed. Who scrubbed it and why? That's insane.
So his Snapchats, he had a setting to save his Snapchats and they're gone now.
Well, I don't know. So I'm not technical at all. Literally, honestly, I'm just not, and unapologetically not technical. And he was when he was on Paramount. Um, I'm not sure if that was the first time. I think that it was just gone, everything he had saved or whatever. And somebody said, "Well, why didn't he screenshot it?" Well, because you don't realize when the thing with Kopaka came out, they had named. So we got an alert because my son lived on the south side of campus when that whole SWAT thing went down. So, and it started apparently 8 o'clock the night prior, and so 3:30 the following morning, we get this alert or whatever, and so then immediately I'm awake, and then it's called off, so I call the school. Nothing to see here, not connected to anything. And I said, that makes it worse that they're not connected, right? Just so you know, it makes it worse because now we have a whole new crime. And you have a 38-year-old man living with 20-year-old kids. That's weird. Why are you doing that? That's whatever. And so they, so when how do I put it? Ask me another question about Kopaka, and
Yeah,
so I can.
okay, I have a great question for you about Kopaka. I wrote
Okay.
down while you were talking. So
Okay.
this is, again, it's whatever you're comfortable saying, but
Right.
what is the word on the street or the rumors on the street at Wasu about Kopaka?
Nothing.
That's fascinating, actually.
It's insane. When they said to me, it has nothing to do with Idaho. And I said, why do you have a 38-year-old man with PTSD and living in Coug housing with two 20-year-olds? Why? Well, we can't tell you that, or I'm not even sure what they said. Lana was able to break down who all these people were, and whether it was he even lived there because none of his clothes were there when they went to when his brother went to get his stuff. And uh, there's so many different things. Do I think he was involved? I've always kind of thought he was involved, but I don't. It because of the things he said out the window about knowing who, something about I didn't kill them or something about that. And then the letter that Koberger's sister wrote stating that he met a friend and the reason his print could have been on the sheath was because they were doing cocaine and used the knife and he might have opened the knife. And then what somebody else said, what else did it was another, well, he grew up in Moscow and his parent, or in Idaho, I believe, Moscow, I think. And but I know. So when the first article came out, it named somebody completely different, which Lana found him and interviewed him. But then and they said he worked at the school, and he was in he worked at Moscow and in technology, and then that they didn't say anything about the PTSD that I'm aware of, but they just named the wrong guy completely. And then all of a sudden it became Kopaka. And this guy comes on and he said, I'm still telling people it's not me. It wasn't me. But the tech stuff was down in Moscow the night of the incident, the night of the crime. It was down. which could be because they were going into a midterm exams right before the holiday break. So they could have been scrubbing it because classes change. You have different class times and nothing's the same that week. I know at Wazoo, I'm assuming it's that way at U of I. But so, yeah, I mean, so what I guess my point is that they scrub things. Like you don't, I didn't think it would be gone the following day. I didn't think to screenshot it when it occurred that it would be gone the following day, you know? So when people say, well, why didn't you screenshot it, Dave, and save it? Well, first of all, if you screenshot a Snapchat, people can tell you've screenshotted it. I know this from my kids because they'll send a snap and it'll be something cute, like of one of my grandchildren. And I'm like, oh, screenshot that and send it to me. He goes, no, they'll know. I'm like, so what? Who cares? But apparently the kids do care. So they don't screenshot as a habit because on some of their social media platforms, it will say he screenshotted you and apparently you look like a weirdo then.
That makes total sense. When you say systems down, though, are you talking about the internet, the telephone, the inner working, like the systems within the university? What systems were down that night?
My understanding was technology. I guess it would be Wi-Fi, and I could be getting it incorrectly, but I don't know if it was the Wi-Fi or if it was maybe whatever systems they use were down, because every once in a while the kids will go down like a couple times a semester for whatever, that they have to scrub it or something or do something to it. But that night, my understanding was that everything was down, like the computer systems were down. And so like the pings, and I know that's not the same computer system, but the kids came down. My kids happened to be home when he was arrested. It was midwinter break, and my son came down and he goes, there's no way that that's correct, how they're saying it. And I don't understand that, but he's there. All the kids think that there's no way that's correct. The pings are correct at all with the cast stuff. They absolutely doubt it. So every kid I've spoken to about it.
No, that's what we just want your sampling of. And you said a couple things about Kopaka that I just want to go back to, just because I hadn't heard them before, and if they're just curious, if they're public knowledge, like something you read in a newspaper, or like just something you picked up being in the area. And the first one was that he yelled some things out the window. I hadn't heard that before. Is that word on the street, or is that just something you picked up from news?
That I picked up. So I was a reporter there from, I'm not sure if it was Fox or News Nation. I didn't care. I called the first reporter I had, and I knew she was in Moscow, and I called her and I told her they're swatting somebody and I told them it was at the coffee house, and she went there, and I'm not sure if I don't remember where I heard that information. There was a lot said that, you really can't validate or vet or know it's true because it's gone. And that they then said that he had lit a fire, but there were no fire trucks. And there was just all of these things and I can't remember. I honestly don't remember who said it. I just remember that was kind of what was said in the very beginning. And I called the school directly. When I said one time I called the president, I didn't mean the president of the United States. But if I thought that would get this solved, I would. I'm not lying. I'd call him. I don't think he could fix it, honestly. But I did call the president of both schools. And I went to Utah too because the secretary or somebody in the president's office told me to go to YouTube and say something every day.
Good. But I honestly, and I don't mean this, I just wanted to know, I think that your instincts and the way you probably should be an internet sleuth. Maybe when this is all over.
I don't think I have the heart for it.
You have a hidden career in front of you.
You know what I call it? It's just momming. I'm just being a mom. When,
Amen.
One and one doesn't make two, then I got to find out why we're getting 300. Where are the missing parts to this whole thing? There's something missing. And the time frame is a huge deal. It's a tremendous problem it's a tremendous problem, in my opinion, that 8-hour, 10-hour delay.
I'm just going to the chat to clean something up. I have one question for you while I turn off my camera. Is another thing you said that I just don't get a lot of reliance on. I'm curious to know if this is, again, word on the street or something you heard in the media about BK's sister writing the letter, making an excuse for why that DNA, that touch DNA could have been on that knife sheath about the cocaine. And was that a word on the street, or was that?
No, it was, now I didn't know what Reddit was. And then there's another thing after Reddit that I was told never to look at, and I haven't. I trust people when they tell me not to look at something, but it was some form of social media that I read it on, because I actually read it, and then I believe it was on Reddit, and if it's still, I haven't even I can check and see if it's still there, but I've never checked back, because I remember her saying that he used drugs. And that makes more sense. It makes sense that he would be an enforcer. And a lot of, it makes a lot of sense. That makes sense a little bit, a lot, actually.
I hadn't known that word until I listened to Pavarotti.
There's so many things I've learned. I've learned so many new words, phrases, things I never needed to know. I mean, but these kids all know them. And when my daughter said snitches get stitches, I thought, what happened? What happened to my little girl? Like, what? That's like Godfather stuff. That was very scary, very telling.
Yeah. And the harder part is that she's learned it for self-preservation,
Yes. She knows where not to go. So, do you ever get those text alerts that says you have a package somewhere?
Yes.
On a cell phone. So I said, "What?" And the kid, I don't know what we were doing. I'm like, I keep getting this, and I didn't order a cell phone. I should call them and tell them it's not mine. And she literally whipped the phone out of my hand, and she said, "No, that's trafficking, Mom. That can be a trafficking, so they can locate you and take you." I'm like, well, they'll return me right quick.
You raised a good kid. She knows she's got a good head on her shoulders.
She has a good head on her shoulders. She does, and she knew she didn't want to leave school, so we put eyes on her for the remainder of the school year. And my son came home at Christmas time and went to school globally, and then we transferred to the East Coast.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm glad you're comfortable and you feel your kids are in a safe place, because I appreciate your bravery and your courage and just saying something, because nobody is talking who has the ability to. And it's nice to hear you come out, and you're also backing up two younger people who came out, Dot and Dave. Their aliases, Dot and Dave, who don't really have anyone else to validate what they've come out and said. And so,
and I will tell you, Dave has no reason to lie. Caden Young was his best friend.
Who was his best friend?
Caden Young. They were in the same fraternity. Kaylee's brother was in their fraternity.
I just appreciate this, because you're validating that phone call for me. I've featured it on my channel, and it has been one of the most popular videos I use. People want to know what Dave has to say, and just to hear that, as a creator, I get nervous putting something out that I can't confirm, but you're enough validation for me.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that he came out, because he heard me say something. It was the right thing to do. I think he's brave. I don't feel like I'm brave. I feel like I'm just a mom, and I'm doing the right thing. And I'd be what kind of a mother or person would I be if I didn't do the right thing? Brave is what these families are, having to keep their heads up and keep going and keep going. I can't. That is that's brave. Getting out of bed when you don't want to is brave, because you have other children. That's hard work. It's just a little tiny paragraph and a warning and a reminder every day till this is solved. And I don't know if Brian did it or not. I don't know that, but I know he wasn't alone, in my opinion. From everything I've heard, I feel very comfortable in saying that there was many people there.
Thank you for coming out with a bold, clear statement. Thank you, Kim. And oh gosh, I lost it was so bold, I lost my next question.
I've been doing that too.
You mentioned Pavarotti, okay? You said that you really like what Jay Embry is doing. It's resembling a lot of the things that you heard early on, and you find it reflective to what you initially were thinking. Can you name a couple other creators that you feel are doing a good job covering the case that we could go check out here on YouTube?
Differently, well, obviously Daniel. I think Daniel's got a different opinion that comes from Ellie, but I think he's got a really knowledgeable opinion. He can I'll call him and ask him a question, and he can makes it make sense, right? And gives another side of it, so that we're not so focused on. So we can't just get so focused on either Ellie is bad or it's Koberger solved yet. They're still working on it. The defense's investigator actually called me over the summer, and they're working on it diligently. So in order for us to protect all of our rights, we need to make sure he gets a fair trial. So I think balance is good. I think Lana is fantastic because her facts are good. I'm not yet to see a fact that's not. She's got an approach that's a little, but that's her style. I think Dago offers a softer side and a place for people. Do you know who Dago, True Crime with Dago, is? By chance?
Kiki, you're muted.
I said yes. I love Diego. I've been on a panel with him before.
Oh, you have. So yeah, I love him. Who else would I if you want, I have a really hard time seeing. I'm audibly. I don't have I can't hear direction audibly for some reason. I just can't. So it's really hard for me to decipher. Today was the first time I actually ever was able to make out that statement how I heard it. And it's different than what Jeff said. But if you want if you want visuals, Jeff or actually, and Stevie Irwin too is really great with the visuals. Really great. Honestly, he's so talented. But who else? I just found you guys. Honestly, I mean, literally, today's the first. I listened to some of your videos yesterday, and then because I always listen first to see. Who else would I say? I would say Olivia, Chronicles of Olivia, because I'll tell you, she's young. She's she actually went to school with one of my nieces, and we didn't know that until much later, until after we met each other. Her mother is lovely. She is lovely. She's the real deal, and she's really bright, and she gets it out there, and people will open up to her, like Kaylee's family opening up to her. So I think she's a really good one too. And she's never given anything up. If I have something, so whenever I hear anything new, I send it to Olivia and tell her to send it to Steve if he wants it. I've never spoken with any of the families. I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. But if they wanted to ask me a question, which has happened before, I'll answer it through, and I just go through Olivia. And so I would definitely watch Chronicles of Olivia. I think JLR. You know who actually? A.R. Hayes.
Oh, yeah. We're big fans.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, if I were to say, he is isn't he really something else? He's a really good guy. And he's got a lot of insight too, and real insight. Kind of like Pavarotti, the same thing. They both have a lot of it right in different ways. I truly believe that Sigma Chi is involved in somehow with what happened to Ethan. That's just my theory and my feelings. They're just too concerned about shutting people up, and that makes me question everything they say. Because I would think I would want to be talking about it.
Yeah.
And 8 feet too. I would definitely. And the Venmos, I would look into the Venmos too. Who did the Venmos first? Bubbly Waters has some good information.
Okay, well, go look at Bubbly, because when you talk about the Venmos, are you talking about the Venmos to Ethan that night when he got the Venmo at 11:30?
Well, I'm more talking about the 3:30 one.
The one
3:30 a.m.
Yeah. 3:30 a.m.
You're talking about. All right. I've never dived too deep in that because I've got screenshots of it. Of course, it's been taken off, and I made a video about it a while back. But it's hard to talk about things because for me, I have trouble talking about the people involved in this case. Even Dylan and Bethany, it's hard for me because I don't want to I feel like it's unfair for me to take the amount of people who watches my video and say something that I don't know or I haven't heard from somebody in the case. But you've given me enough that I can feel comfortable talking about some of these subjects that I haven't been, and I appreciate that, Kim. There are a few things I've wanted to explore that I haven't before, and you're giving me a little leeway to do that. So thank you.
Well, good, because I think, I have to tell you, if I were to sit on the jury, which obviously I would not be allowed to, but I could go in there and not know. I mean, I don't know, right? You haven't proven he's guilty or innocent, and he's got to be innocent until you prove him guilty to me. So I don't know that there's anything. I have a fear that, and it's a big fear. Well, didn't they just have, Caden Young died right after. How many kids died after the first 4 between both campuses? Another 3 or 4, 5?
Is this from overdose?
Well, it's either overdose or suicide. But now they're getting a little smarter, take him over state lines. That whole thing with Caden Young does not wash. Harborview is the best trauma center in the country. Hands down, it is. So Caden was supposedly at the University of Washington, but I've heard different things since, at a fraternity partying over spring break. I don't know who goes to Seattle for spring break. That's boring. But so then he goes to Harborview and they release him. And now he's dead 4 hours later. Harborview does not release people to die. So, and who did they release him to? And why didn't they call his parents? That makes no sense.
I don't know anything about this. I mean, I've heard the name mainly from AR's channel, I think is where I heard it one time. But you're bringing up things I've never allowed myself to really explore. So it's interesting.
So Demetrius and Emma were with him and sold him, and apparently there was fentanyl in it. And apparently somebody said Demetrius revived him, but then sent him to Harborview, only for them to get arrested for it when he finally did die, because they set them up to bring back more. I don't know. And then the day they were supposed to go to trial in, I think it was May, they released them and said that it was, And they said it was a jurisdiction. So he died in Centralia. So somebody picks him up from Harborview. And my understanding was it was Emma and Demetrius. That could be wrong. Anything can be wrong. And then they bring him to Centralia, Washington, where he dies. That's where they're arrested. And then they said it was jurisdictional. So they sent him back to King County. Thank you. Keep him out of my county, please. And they sent him to King County, and then they never arrested him. And AR says he's down there. They're down there. In or somewhere down there in Reno or Vegas or somewhere. So it's beyond the pale. I just don't even understand how we're waiting for these 2 to go to prison. And Demetrius his rap sheet is insane. For this man to be walking the streets, and I use the term man very loosely. I don't dislike anybody. This guy, I tell you what, he's just a terrible human being. Yeah. There's also where's Emma? Is Emma what? Excuse me?
Is Emma in custody right now, or
No, Emma's out, and I think she's out and was not going to be recharged. And I believe I want to say they dropped her DUI, but I'm unsure. The infamous DUI. Ugh, yuck. If that doesn't stop people from taking drugs, I don't know what will. Right? Gross.
Yeah.
So she is apparently down there too. I don't know. Her parents sold their house, is my understanding, which was behind 1122 King. And the thing is, she had such a bright future, and she just got sucked down this bad place with this guy.
It's tragic.
It's terrible. Yeah, she's a beautiful girl.
But she's
22.
young.
She's
Maybe
obviously
she can
smart.
turn it around. Maybe she can turn it around.
I hope she does. I do. I hope she does. I hope she knows that she's better than that, and everybody will welcome her to be a better person. She's got a huge life to live, and she wants to live it. Clearly, her parents care about her.
I have a really important question for you too. How's your daughter doing? This has probably been really traumatic for her. Is she doing well? She must have some PTSD from all of this. And I just
Nah, she doesn't. They don't. These kids don't. And I'll tell you what, they're sad. They feel very sad for these kids and what occurred. But they had such a way of stepping outside it. It was insane how well they all stepped outside of it. Even Jasmine went back to school over there. I mean, the triplets went back to school. The 2 surviving triplets went back to school. They all went back to school. It was like they couldn't be touched. And on the anniversary this year, my Pate had come in and I was crying, and she goes, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "It's just a really sad day." And she said, "I know it's sad, Mom, but," and I said, "Well, what? It could have been you guys." And she said, "It couldn't have been me, Mom." And I said, "What does that even mean?" She goes, "It would never have been me or Will." So there's something that they're not saying.
Yeah.
Right? Which falls in line with the targeted. And she won't expound on it, and I'm not going to force her to.
No.
But she is not afraid. I will say, she was running in our neighborhood and was followed and then chased by a car. And she's so whip smart. I'll tell you what, that kid. She zigzagged through backyards all the way, like zigzagged, and lost this person in the car.
Wow.
We live in a gated community, and she was, so she's, she just is very, she's not a mom
Resourceful.
yet. Yeah, resourceful. She's got a lot of tools in her shed, and my older kids were just all over me for letting her go back. But she missed her senior year in high school. She had brain surgery. She's fine. It was a catastrophic shear injury. She's fine. She's totally fine. Honestly, she's totally fine. She doesn't need a tattoo. She's got a scar on the back of her neck, so she's good. Because I'd kill her if she brought one home with a tattoo. She came home with a tattoo. But she just is very. She's safe. She can't ever fly in that fast. How you don't have to go through TCA because accidents. So I gave them tasers when they went back to school after Thanksgiving.
I would have too.
Yes, and she forgot it was in her backpack, and so she was flying home.
No!
Because and she goes, yep. And so now, then there's no way to get her off it. She's like on it. You always have to go through TSA. You're always gonna have to wait in that long ass line because you didn't take out your taser. But they said. And so I actually went to the parents at Wazoo and I said, "Hey, if you sent your kid because a lot of kids came back with guns, and I'm not a gun person. I don't. If you want a gun, that's fine. I just don't. It's just not my thing. Right. And I have no problem with it, take care of them, be responsible. But I almost got her a little handgun. But what would that have done? So instead, I got a rake. You know those metal garden rakes?
Yep.
And I turned it into a jewelry holder, and I took the wood stick. I had my husband shave the wood stick to put over her bed. So if somebody comes in, she could pull it off the wall and, kill them. What are you going to do? She's got to,
You're doing something. That's what's important.
And
I think that's great because that gives me ideas because I'm in line with you and I don't really I'm fine with guns, but I don't really want one in the house. I have a 14-year-old at home. And my fear is always that you hear what ends up happening is the gun owner is the one who's harmed or another occupant of the house. Exactly. And I'm just like, I don't feel comfortable like taking that chance, even though, I'm a single mom and everything. And I would feel comfortable. I would be, oh, that feels good. But then I think of my son. So I'm like, now I might have to go get a rake.
I know, right? It's a really great tool.
That's a good idea. It's like,
And you can buy them like in stores. They sell them like jewelry hangers, and they're just old rustic farm stuff. And so that's why I thought about it. But
that's a great Great. Yeah.
And the tasers, and I said to them with the tasers, I said, do not use them on each other. What is the first thing they did? They go over there and they're all tasing each other on Greek Road. And my son, I'm like, you're wasting them. I don't know how many tasers you have in a taser.
I know,
I
right?
don't know.
I said, does it hurt? They go, it doesn't feel good. I said, does it give? She goes, it'll give me time to run.
Okay.
Scream, right?
I
And a
don't know that I
whistle
would need to
too.
know what it feels like, but
I know, right? Idiots. I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys are idiots. I mean, once she pepper sprayed her brother because she just needed to see how it worked.
Oh
I was
that
just
was
going to say,
why.
good thing you didn't give him pepper spray, but obviously.
I had learned that lesson in my poor son.
Oh my
You know, he
gosh.
worships his older sister, but you know, he's got a really good head on his shoulder too. So they're, you know, all of them do, but my older kids worried a lot more than I did. And I just started listening to, so the way I learned to sleep was, besides going to a doctor and a psychologist, was to find balance, because this really unhinged me a bit. I'll honestly say that this unhinged me. Like, there's a lot. It's a lot. And so I started listening to the radio, the scanner, when she was at school. And that's what I did. I listened to the scanner radio all night long.
So that's like your escape, is like your escapism, is you listen
Yeah.
to scanner instead of watching TV
Right.
or Netflix.
Yeah. I'm listening to the scanner. Yes, right. I listened to the scanner, and then and that helped. That worked while she was there.
Were you listening to the scanner for her area?
Yes. Well, I did. So there was.
I can see that.
I called the police department and I said, so they had a couple of incidents afterwards. All the kids did, like their door was spray painted with red spray paint. I don't know what it was. I don't even want to know what it was. But and then there was blood on her washing machine. And somebody said they were sharing a washing machine with somebody, but they were living on like what those kids lived in. A live out. They call them, a live out, a Greek live out. So I called the police department and I said, look, we have 3 months left together. Let's just get along. And you drive by my daughter's house. You know where she lives. You drive by my daughter's house several times a night and make sure she's okay. And so that night they drove by and to check out a white truck that was parked in front of it. But I knew that they were doing it. And so, yeah, I felt that I'm not going away. She's going to stay there.
They
for
heard
3 months.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt heard. Actually, I felt heard. And
right.
This whole thing is so unfortunate because both of these schools are such good schools. These kids get, Peyton and her friends all have jobs. They were hired before, I think they were all hired before they even graduated. Which were really good job. I mean, she has a take-home car. She has a Tesla. She travels. She's got a great opportunity, making more money than she could have ever hoped for, which is fantastic. Wazoo puts out great people, and so does U of I. And it's unfortunate that this has really taken so much away, and that we still have kids over there that we know from this area. So there's still a worry, right? You don't want anybody else. I don't want to hear anybody else get hurt. But so far this school year, I haven't heard of anybody else passing away, which is good. I mean,
of course.
The assault one isn't so good, but hopefully they work that through. And maybe the not drinking on campus on Greek Road now that it's dry, that'll help. Maybe they are listening. Hopefully.
Yeah, and change takes place over time, right? So
we lost Kim.
We'll get there probably. Oh, what happened?
It looks like Kim's.
He'll come back, but someone was asking what did Pavarotti say about Ethan specifically, and I don't remember what he did say exactly. Do you, Kiki?
No, that's why. That's why I just displayed it. I thought maybe Kim would answer what she was talking about. I hope she comes back. We have a few more questions. I mean, other than that, obviously this is a surprise. If Kim comes back, we'll obviously want to continue with her. But other than that, we'll probably call it a day, unless you had something you wanted to go over while we were here.
No, I wasn't even going to come on today. I just was like, I know. I'm like, procrastinating on my regular work day here.
That's okay.
I think
That's
there
okay.
you go.
You got a break from the day. You'll be refreshed and get some YouTube energy.
I
Energy.
know, right? No, this just means I'll have to do some work tomorrow on Saturday. I'm
Well,
trading.
I was hoping we could get you back here tomorrow on panel. We're gonna have a lot of rebuttal.
What time?
I haven't decided, but I mean, I've been coming on at 9. Today I did it for 10
I'm
because
not. Yeah.
my research just got thrown off. But what I'm trying to do is 2 to 3 hours on the live stream. So it's not like if you can't come on at like a certain time, you couldn't jump on. But would 10 o'clock be too early for you if we tried that?
I'm just trying to think what I have to do with Nico, but
Well, you can think about
yeah, we can talk after. I don't know.
You guys
You
will
know
probably
me, I'm more of a later afternoon, like a noon or a 2 person.
Yeah, we'll talk later. We'll see what we can do, and you guys, we'll post it as soon as we decide on a time, and we'll do a lot of follow-up questions. Kim, the one thing that we didn't get a chance to tell you, I'm hoping that you're watching right now, is let me just take this comment down. The first thing we want to say is we appreciate that you gave us a chance and came up on panel and talked to us. You answered some really tough questions. You went out on a limb and you said your truth, and you did not sugarcoat it. You spoke clearly, and I appreciate you giving my channel a chance to interview you. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me and Gia a chance to have you come up.
Absolutely. Yep. And anytime. And I know you work with a lot of great creators, and they're all people that we love and we follow and we trust. And we really appreciate your giving them kudos and letting us know who it is you trust. And, you know, just really kind of validates all of the people that we're listening to and makes you feel better knowing that, you know, what they're saying is ringing of the truth.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. And we want you to know that our thoughts and our prayers are with you and your daughter, your family. And thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. And we're just praying for you. We're praying for your community and for healing in general for your children and their friends. So on that note, I just want to say thank you for coming up here and joining us on the fly, Gia. And thank you to our amazing audience. We know you can be anywhere, but you chose to be with us, and we're really grateful for that. And I'm going to play a little outro. And thank you so much. And
yes, and I'll just say another plug too for the end. If you all, before you leave, could just hit the like and subscribe button, that would be terrific. I would really appreciate that.
Thank you, Gia. And also for the ones, so Gia's streaming this onto her channel, and I'm going to put the handle up for you guys, because if you could really please go subscribe to Gia. She does a lot of hard work for this channel. She doesn't have the time to necessarily put in and build a YouTube channel right now, but the more you subscribe to her, she could get to that level where she can do streaming on her own. She can do monetization. It would just give her incentive to do a lot more work on YouTube if she could get some subscribers. So I put her handle below. Don't forget how much she puts into this channel. Please visit her channel and subscribe while you're there. And so with that,
thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us, Gia. And have a great day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff.